Reesa Woolf, PhD, trains TED Talk speakers. She's the go-to person when executives need to be their best speaking to board investors. Reesa, thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure, Ted.
Reesa, you coach TED Talk speakers. Our viewers are leaders and probably already good presenters. What TED Talk techniques would make them even more polished?
Polished is the key word here. TED Talks are way more than a big talk. It's really a performance. It's really a Broadway show. They know exactly what they're going to say, each and every word, each and every gesture. Now, I don't expect people to be giving TED Talk performances every time, but what my suggestion is, when people are good, they get into a routine of doing what they do well already. Right. And I'm saying whatever it is that you think would make a difference. Should I pause longer here? Should I make more eye contact here? Should I act out something as opposed to just talking about it? Right. Should I use my body language to show that this person was talking and that person was talking? I presume people watching have taken some sort of speech training before, and it's to pull something from that and incorporate that in as the next step.
Good, good. I know you were a resident presentations trainer for leaders at the UN in Rome, but who's your typical client?
My typical client now are leaders, executives. Some people actually keep me on retainer so that whoever has to give an important talk, particularly on a sensitive topic, that they have me as a resource so that they can give me the information, but I make it more diplomatic. I use an analogy here, and if it's appropriate, some humor there, to make sure that the wording is right, and then coach them on the delivery. So I would say typically I get a call 6 weeks before someone has to give a talk in Las Vegas. That's usually a one-off. Right. But very often people keep me around as a resource because whoever is going to be visible is representing the company.
You were a senior trainer for the American Management Association, or the AMA, for 20 years. How did that contribute to your training?
Well, enormously, because I taught management skills for new supervisors, all of their communication skills, all sales training. So I really have this wide area of expertise. But most importantly, when I would say in presentation skills training, when I would say, what questions do you have about speaking? What other public speaking questions do you have? It was never about public speaking. It's always, well, I have this situation, or what should I do if? So what happens after 20 years of coaching people in Fortune 500 companies with me coming up with answers and them coming up with answers? Got pretty smart about giving answers. So the difference is that I'm prepared for that. And I also have given enough answers and prepared them. It's almost like I worked out things over 20 years and now people get them like that.
Right. Well, what I also find very interesting is you have a PhD in psychology. Now, I'd like to know more. How did that impact your training style?
In a big way. Two ways that I'll talk about. The first is there are people who call me up individually. They don't have their assistant call. They say, I just kept getting promoted, and I've been speaking, but I'm still not comfortable with it. But also there are people, I just coached a gentleman who is an international vice president who had turned down speeches for 8 years. I mean, this is a big player, and had somehow gotten around speaking, had to give a talk. He was a tough one, actually. I mean, I fixed him, but it was all about fear of public speaking. And I have a doctorate in psychology, so it really applies to that. But also, the psychology applies to the writing. Yes. Because persuasion is a psychological game. Yes. It really is. Saying this word or that word, as Mark Twain said, the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug.
And the ordering of such words.
And the ordering, and the pacing, and the being excited on this one, but whispering that one. All of that is psychological. And it's kind of fun for me to do that. So try it again, I'll say. Pause longer there.
Yeah. Well, these are the things people don't think about. They think it's just words, but it's not just the words. It's the delivery of words, the ordering of words.
No question. And one more thing I want to add is that I send out little tidbits and little tips of how to connect with people a little bit more on my LinkedIn account. And that is when I see a speaker and go, oh, that was really cool, I immediately start doing that. And I immediately start sharing it and teaching it. So it's endlessly fun for me. This is something that I just enjoy a lot, and because I enjoyed it, I pursued it, and
Good stuff.
here I am today.
You train people in France, Japan, and China. What are the differences internationally?
Tab, people are people. I went to Buenos Aires, and of course, before working, I took the city tour. In the city tour, he would show us the balcony where Evita was singing, and he would say it in English. This is the balcony where Evita, she didn't sing, and he would do that. And then stop, and he would do the whole thing in Spanish. But in Spanish, he would go, ici es balcony, and his filler word was language appropriate. And I thought, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to people who I'm teaching about this. How does the brain work that he used filler words, but they were situationally appropriate? It just really amazed me. So people really are the same. Everyone on this earth turns around with their clicker to click on the PowerPoint to the screen when the player's there. It's just, I would say, often when I have people who are working in a bilingual situation, I have them rehearse in their first language and rehearse in the language that they might be using part of the time, because it's applicable. If you speak too fast in any language, people are not going to take as much information home. If you don't articulate clearly, people think that you're less educated and less sophisticated and less, not as high up in your career. It really is a psychological game.
Yeah, the perception.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And around the world, it's really, there's an amazing amount of sameness.
Well, before I ask you to give advice to the viewers, which I know you have a lot of, or some very good advice, I want to say a few words myself. I've had the chance to listen to your coaching and experience it, and it was fantastic. Your candid nature and the value add task that you gave me very, very quickly right out of the gates, I thought was fantastic, because as a busy executive myself, in which many of your clients are, time is at a premium, to say the least. So for you to come in, give me an actionable plan, provide valuable insight to our efforts here at Liftr Insights, no pun intended, was a fantastic value add. And I think the value that you provide is not only right out of the gate, but it's your plan ongoing. And you've clearly done a fantastic job of that. I mean, with your book, just I encourage anybody to reach out to you that has these needs that we've talked about today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That being said, let's go down the road of the advice that you would provide to a potential speaker or TED Talk participant.
I'll give some advice for people who are watching today, something that you can use tomorrow. Actually, two pieces of advice. The first is,
see, that tomorrow is what I was talking about. It's immediately actionable.
Well, okay.
It's immediately
Well, thank
actionable.
You. I'm glad I proved myself here.
Yeah.
And not only that, look at her.
That's a compliment.
Thank you. I'll bet every person here who is watching is thinking, oh, I know I should do that. Oh, I know I should do that. Oh, great. And here's my suggestion. Do it. If you know that you should speak slower, if you know that you should edit out some unnecessary things, if you know you should plan ahead and really focus the attention for different groups in different ways, if you know you should write better openers and closers, just do that thing. It's time.
Follow
it's
your
time
gut.
to do that.
Yeah.
And secondly, if someone wants to kind of look like a TED Talk, How to Speak Like a TED Talk is one of my websites. I would say every single time you speak on the Tuesday morning meeting or on the Thursday afternoon webinar or conference call, do it as if it's a big performance. Right. Choose perhaps one thing. For example, instead of telling a story, act out the story, which is a higher level of storytelling. Choose one thing and really emphasize, focus on that and put your attention on that. Yeah. But see each one as a big performance. That way when you have the big talks, or when you do the TED Talks, if you decide to, then you've kind of lowered your anxiety and really prepped yourself. You don't want to, 2 weeks before a big talk, to suddenly go, oh, I guess I should start doing that thing.
So build in the repetition when you have those opportunities beforehand. It's like any other sport or any other event.
And actually, let me give you one more bonus. Because everyone is normally nervous when they first speak. It's just, I could go into it, but it's part of, it really is in our DNA
It really is.
that when we face
Yeah.
people. Since the first 5 minutes are usually scary, even for seasoned speakers, I suggest really rehearse the first 5 minutes. I only memorize 2 things, the opener and the close. That's my suggestion. The rest of it, use very limited bullets. You know, short words and short ideas on the bullets. But rehearse that first 5 minutes and rehearse the close, because those are the ones that really tie together your package and make the big impression.
Right. Yeah.
Those are some takeaways.
I completely agree with you. I think if you come out of the gates and you got that part nailed, usually those conversations, they turn into conversations versus a nervous situation. Well, thank you so much. This is highly valuable, and thank you for being here.
Truly my pleasure.
All right, thank you.